When I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Doni and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
my head up.
I'm South Carolina, so I just
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Moss?
Oh, my heart.
Happy 20th anniversary.
My heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Done.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself.
The doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Doni, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it all the more.
Letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
Good morning. Blessed be the name of the Lord. This is the week of Easter, and being raised in a Christian family, we're going to just acknowledge to all of our Christian people all over the world. But if you're Muslim, we love you too. Buddhist, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, the whole nine. We just believe in the creator of all humans, black, white, Asian, Latino, what have you. Ain't but one creator. I stand by that. If you got a better angle on it, please let me know. Nonetheless, thank you, Lord, for another week. We're here. Bless this show. Bless us to touch some people. May we inspire some people. May we touch somebody's soul. And we promise, Lord, to give you all the praise and all the glory. In your mighty, matchless, and majestic name, we say hallelujah and amen. Today, So I don't talk about Poly too much on the show. I do talk about Dunbar because that's where I graduated. Paul Laurence Dunbar Community High School, class of '83. Go Poets, go. You heard. But my first 2 years were at Baltimore Polytechnic up there at Cold Spring and Falls Road. And for me, that was some culture shock. But nonetheless, after you get over going through Hamden, because I never went to school with white kids before, after you get over going to school in a different part of town that was not all black, because Falls Road is not all black. But nonetheless, we survived, and you meet some people. And one of the people that I met was Vennieth, McCormick. And he's going to talk about on this show today his New Life Recovery Center. Now, this show here, I don't know if you've ever heard my story, but I know a little something about running them streets and making bad decisions, coke, dope, or as they say, cocaine, heroin, crack cocaine. That's some 22, 23 years ago. I'm just reminded that God is more than able. Yes, me. I went through the storm. Bad decisions. What DMX say? Bad decisions lead to last decisions. Yes. But by God's grace and mercy, somebody prayed for me, somebody helped me, somebody picked me up, and then we just try to pass that thing on because you learn that you keep it by giving it away. And on that note, let me just put a plug in for my God brother, Bishop Kevia Elliott up at the Lord's Church, Brother Tony Blackwell, Minister Deneen, back in the day, back 25 years ago, 24 years ago, I met them at this ministry called the Free Indeed Ministry. And you Christian folks out there ought to know this Bible verse. It says, whosoever the Son shall set free, ye shall be free indeed. So whatever your struggle is, whatever, if you have a substance abuse struggle, some people don't have no struggle with substances. They can drink all day or smoke all day or what have you. And then other people, they can't just take one because one means 1,000, 1,000,000. So as we go into this Easter season, about to celebrate the rebirth for those in the Christian faith, the resurrection, and it really has a universal meaning. Everybody needs that rejuvenation, that bringing back to life. I don't know if you've ever been through a storm, but I done been through a storm or two, and you learn in them storms that there's nothing like having an anchor to hold on to, something to carry you through them dark nights. Y'all gonna start me preaching up in here. Let me just go ahead and get the man who can preach much better than me, Ben McCormick. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, brother Doni. I appreciate you, and let me just say that your show's introduction is musical and formative at the same time. And I feel bad that I hadn't watched the show, man. But I tell you, that's wonderful. So you did a great job in putting that intro together. I want to applaud you, and thank you for that introduction, man. And it's a pleasure to be with you this morning, my friend. But I can promise you, because you gave a shout out to Bishop Elliott. That's my man too. I won't be doing no preaching doing here. I might give a little bit of information, brother Doni, but yeah, I won't try and do any preaching because that's not my forte or my calling.
Well, that's debatable then, because the ministry, a sermon is not always spoken.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. On that note, and I appreciate that. You're absolutely right. So I can do a little bit of preaching about New Life Recovery Center.
First of all, let's go back to where we met.
Sure.
I mean, I've known you since I was about 14 years old, going up to Poly. And you know, we may need to put this on the table. I was traumatized at Poly. I thought Lamel was something.
Right.
I mean, at Lamel, you had to fight. You had to literally put them up every day. And no, I'm not necessarily proud of it,
right,
but that's what it was. But when you got to Poly, you had to put a different kind of dukes up. You had to put them pens to work. You had to use that brain. You had to. I mean, I got in a fight one time. These white cats come up to me on right there at the 22 bus stop. What's that? 41st Street and Falls Road.
Yeah.
One of me and about 10 of them.
Yes, sir.
Now I done seen this move in West Baltimore, but they all black.
Yes.
So
sir.
the first thing I had to wrap my brain around is, man, this white boy about to swing on you.
Yes, sir.
And ain't nobody coming to help you. Ain't nobody gonna pull their cars over. You got the guff.
You on your own.
And that's a long run home.
Yeah. I remember those days of Poly, Doni, and I can tell you because it's interesting that you say that. I hadn't heard that from you. I was coming from Rockland Middle School.
Y'all had to fight too.
Absolutely. And it was a culture shock for me at Rockland because I was living in Lakeland at the time. You know what Lakeland is, right? Patapsco Road. Right there up from Mount Winans and Westport. Hollinswood is what they call it, right? And I was at that time in the 70s, my family and I, we were one of 4 black families in the Hollinswood area in Lakeland. Needless to say, we had a lot of eggs thrown in our car, and you know, we were harassed going to the store. I had my bike taken by a group of white kids. It was a culture shock because I grew up in Dundalk. We ain't had no problem. In the pocket, little black pocket called Turner Station.
Oh!
Yeah, I'm a resident of Turner Station. I grew up on the water fishing and crabbing. I didn't know anything about fighting white people until I got to Rockland and Lakeland, right, in the 70s. So when I got to Poly, it was a dramatic shift from Rockland because you're right. You didn't have that concern, and I was so grateful to have your physical being challenged. You were challenged mentally, right? And I'm grateful for the experience because I was able to stay and get what I needed. Shout out to some of my poly graduates. They came after me. Senator Hayes went to poly years later.
Who?
Senator Hayes, Antonio.
Antonio went to poly?
He did. He came out after I did, though.
See, I ended up transferring to Dunbar. Hayes went to poly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So he and Nick, city council president, let me say that, Mosby also went to poly. He also came out years later. So shout out to those fellas who also shared our poly tradition. So I'm grateful for that experience. I really am.
Well, I got a son and a daughter that did finish at poly. I found poly. I didn't feel very welcome at poly, and I didn't like the teachers, quite frankly. They weren't what I was used to.
Right.
And it was more like they were trying to push you out than bring you in. That's what I felt.
I can't speak on your personal experience, brother Donnie. I didn't have the same experience. But you know, you did what you needed to do. I respect that. You were
that A course was a beast.
It was. And I was a B course graduate myself, but yeah, I knew better in the mess than the A course because I knew I wasn't going to do well there.
I refused to drop, and that was my dilemma.
I didn't want to say that to the audience that you did have the opportunity to drop to the B course, but I'm gonna tell you, it's funny that you say that. I do know some people other than you that were in the A course, didn't do as well, and they left the school entirely instead of coming down to the B course, because I think in their minds, that was a fair, I'm not speaking about you, brother.
It was.
Yeah. But
because of that indoctrination.
Right. And
don't forget you had the A, the B, and the T.
Right.
And honestly, when I got to Morehouse, it was a similar thing. People at Morehouse viewed people at Morris Brown differently. That's just a fact.
Yes, sir.
The brothers at Morehouse, the ones that like girls, spent their time at Spelman.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I hear that.
And then there was Clark, but there was a hierarchy put in our minds that we accepted. I'm just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So in the midst of all of that, you smoke your first joint, you sniff your first line somewhere along the line, maybe in your 20s, what have you.
Right.
And some people overcome that, get through that. Some people avoid it altogether. But some of us wanted to be slick. We wanted to be down. We wanted to hang with the big boys. And we made some adult decisions and found our ass in trouble. And then we come see you.
Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing with the audience your story or situation rather. And I too have a similar story where I made some bad decisions. I came out of poly. I went to Catonsville Community College for a year. Had some struggles with my family dynamic. Me and stepdad didn't get along, but I'm grateful for him. First of all, we didn't get along. I was young and rambunctious, wanted to do what I wanted to do. I was 19-year-old. I had a car, a little job, and I was outside of myself. So we had a heated discussion one Sunday morning because he wanted me to go to Sunday school. And I had just came in from Odell's, and I wasn't trying to go to Sunday school because he was a church-going man. And he said to me very pointedly, if you don't go to church, you're getting out of here. So I had only been in the house for 2 or 3 hours, Brother Donnie, because, Odell's, if you belong, when you leave there, you go eat somewhere, you might come in the house 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I was 19, right? I didn't have any structure myself. Yeah, I went to pot, but that didn't mean in myself, I didn't have any structure. So my bright idea was going to the Army. So I signed 6 copies deep to go into the military. I went 82nd. I was all I can be for a few years. Came home, was blessed to get a city job as a computer technician at then CCB, right?
Okay, I don't want you to skate through this part because on this show, we have a lot of love for our military family. As a matter of fact, my second book talks a little bit about those heroes who helped, in essence, create a Black Wall Street. Those
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So when you say 82nd, I can't let you just skirt it by. Where my book at? The 82nd being the 82nd Airborne. So
Yes,
you were
sir.
jumping out of planes.
I was jumping out of planes just because I was a thrill seeker. I like
That's a thrill.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nothing like it. That's why I was sharing with somebody recently about getting on a roller coaster. I can't get on a roller coaster because it doesn't do anything for me. Because once you jumped out of a plane, had your eyes open, you're looking down and seeing how small the world is, and you got a chute over you, and you holding on and you guiding yourself down. Brother, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. I thought that a hit of cocaine was kind of similar, so I continued to do that. But the military did a lot for me. It gave me some structure. It gave me some things that I was lacking as a man. I stayed in there for a few years. I didn't want to be a lifer. I didn't want to make a military career out of it, rather, because of some things that I didn't like. I had a first sergeant Hightower from Alabama.
See, he the reason I never went in at all. I had a dream about Sergeant Hightower.
Right.
All up in my face early in the morning.
It's real. It's real. And Sergeant Hightower,
go take that mountain.
Right. And this was in the mid 80s. First Sergeant Hightower was from Alabama, little short white guy from Alabama, right? Short white guy. He had a Napoleonic complex. And I don't believe, even though he was a first sergeant in the U.S. Army, I don't believe he had a great love for black people. Why do you say that, Vin? Because he used to say a lot of nigger jokes, Don. And he would get a lot of laughter from the troop, from the company, because I was in the company. And I would never laugh at First Sergeant Hightower's jokes because I was like, this white man is making nigger jokes. And I didn't think that was funny. Some of my black soldiers, and First Sergeant Hightower made it his business to make my life miserable in the 82nd. So, and you can't just leave. You just can't quit. And I asked for a transfer. My transfer.
You can quit, but they call that something.
Well, yeah, I didn't want a dishonorable discharge. I didn't want to do that. So I stuck it out because now here's the other thing. This is where and I'm glad you pointed that out earlier in your intro. So people think of addicts as just shooting dope, heroin, or sniffing cocaine. They forget about the alcohol, right? Because you can buy it at the 7-Eleven. So they don't consider alcoholism, to me, my perspective, is a more acceptable mental health illness. It's more acceptable.
But you and I know that alcohol is harder to kick than the dope, the coke, the rock combined.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I started drinking, Donnie, every day in the military, beginning with private stock in the morning at 6 a.m. for PT, physical training. Because every morning, Monday through Friday, you have to be waking up for a count. It's called PT. And you run 5 miles and push up. We would drink private stock. I don't know if anybody remember that. The green bottle.
It's called Heffenreffer. Don't mess with me, son.
With the little puzzle in the top. So we used to trip out each other and try and guess the puzzle. So this is every day. This is every day, brother. So that began my move, changing my mood and my mind every day for no reason at all, right? I thought it was because I didn't feel sure to get on my nerve, but I managed to get out of the military and go and get a job with the city, a really good job at the time. I didn't realize it. And then at some point when I started working for the city, I was introduced to cocaine. I started sniffing cocaine. I thought I liked it. And then I was introduced to how to change the look of cocaine into what they call Ready Rock. And I began chasing cocaine for the latter part of the 80s and the entire part of the entire 90s. It was a blur to me, brother, right? And God blessed me. And yes, I do believe in God, bro. I know you know that, Donnie, but for the audience, God blessed me to get clean May 7th of 2000. So this coming May, I'll celebrate 24 years clean. And I tell you, I'm a different person. And I'm grateful, but I'm grateful for the experience because what it did, Had no idea. But what it did was put me in a unique situation, Brother Donnie, to be able to speak to a large measure of the population in Baltimore City, not just homeless people, right? Because a lot of addicts, a lot of using addicts, they're not homeless. They go
Housewives.
They go housewives, doctors, lawyers, public workers at the city level.
Sure, I live down here by the Avenue Market. You'd be surprised, or you might not be, of who comes through here. And those of us who live here, we know who belong and who don't. And we know those who come in the cop.
Yes, sir.
Black, white, Asian, Latino, it don't matter. Ain't seen too many Indians, Pakistanis, but addiction is addiction is addiction.
And it's interesting that you say that, because I certainly won't break his anonymity. As we speak right now, I have a Nigerian gentleman in my program, and I have an Asian gentleman in my program. And both of those gentlemen have been in the U.S. for probably 10 to 15 years. So they have a very hard dialect. Their native dialect. We're able to understand them, but that just gives you an understanding. And I did have an Indian gentleman who was an alcoholic a couple of months ago. He left after about 2 months, and he had some money. He had some money, and it's very hard. So I kept using it until I had nothing, Brother Donnie. I went to prison.
They call it rock bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't change until I had nowhere to turn. I got tired of going in and out of prison, and at that point, I changed my life. For some folk, as long as they have means, right? As long as they have the means to go cop, it's kind of hard for them to believe that, okay, I need to change right now. That's just my perspective on my experience with clients.
So let's just do a commercial. If it's 4 o'clock in the morning, you got a pocket full of money, and you go to the crack house and they say, we ain't got no more, you bought the last of it, what do you do?
That's funny.
Pocket full of money.
I'm going to another store. I don't know about you. Somebody gonna serve me. Because those guys, and I was listening to I think his name is John Bryant Hope, and he talks about, I like how he does it. He analogizes gentlemen who serve products on the street as businessmen who don't know they have business savvy. They understand supply and demand. They understand retail versus wholesale. They understand, dealing with personnel matters. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And to some degree, I believe that's true. Because if you flip that and you put it in a corporate setting, you can have some success. If you have that mindset, it's no longer drugs, it's a different product. But anyway, so I like that. So I understand that those gentlemen who do that, a lot of them don't sleep, man. So you can buy drugs somewhere in Baltimore City anytime, day or night. I believe that, and I've tested that theory years ago, and it's true. Somebody out there, East Baltimore, West Baltimore, North Baltimore, South, somewhere some drugs are being sold and some drugs are being purchased.
And while you're saying that, as horrible as it is for an addict to be out in the streets 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning buying drugs, what does that say about the dealer who's up in the hole selling at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning? He got an addiction too, or she.
Yes, I'm glad you said that, because in my jail stays, my prison stays, I met some gentlemen who they would tell me, man, I ain't never sold no drugs ever before, man, but I had to have that money, V. I had to get that thing. I had to get that girl. I had to get, that car. They have to get that. So there's an addiction has very little to do with drugs. It's an obsession and compulsion. Very little, nothing about drugs. What we as a society, I believe, we look at that word, we think drugs, right? We never think, and I want to mention this to you too, Donnie. I'm also licensed for gambling, because I saw the need a couple of years ago. There's a gentleman who called us. He had lost everything, and he was wanting to commit suicide. He was standing at the Royal Farms across from the casino, from the Horseshoe. and he told us he had lost everything and he wanted to commit suicide. And can we help him? And I'm gonna tell you something, man. I felt very bad because I was trying to think, well, it's not coke, it's not dope, it's not alcohol, it's not pills. I don't think there's anything I can do for him. So what I did was, say again?
Not true.
Right. Well, that was my thinking at the time, right? Because again, I went into that class of, okay, he's a gambler, I can't help him. But so what we did was we referred him to a program that was certified for gambling, which I wasn't at the time. This was in 22, in the spring of 22. So I sat there, Donnie, for a little while, and I thought about that man, and I called the program back, and then he had gotten to the program because we Ubered him from the Rural Farms to the program. And I sat back, man, I was like, wow. So what
I'm missing business. This business, we got to get that certification. Chop.
I saw the need to get certified in gambling.
I can appreciate that, Ven, because when Kevin Hart started doing them gambling commercials in Baltimore, I made noise all over this show, and they stopped. And not just Kevin Hart, but Jamie Foxx. I don't care what you're going through. Right. God has blessed you to make it to this level, and you telling me you gonna let them pimp you to pimp us on something we can't afford this, and then you giving us that.
Right.
It pissed me off. I ain't gonna lie.
I wholeheartedly agree, and I'm gonna tell you, and I'm sure because I'm talking to an astute black man, I'm sure you've looked at the numbers in terms of sports betting, the kind of money that is making. It's in the billions already, Donnie. And
but we don't have air. We don't have air in our schools, including poly. We don't have heat in our schools, including poly. When they brought that joint in 73, then they promised money for education, new football stadium, new baseball stadium, but schools with no air, no heat, and you got a CEO making $400,000 a year. I didn't master the A course, but I can count. Right. Something is wrong.
Absolutely. And well, it's always it's the same old story, Donnie, all the time. No matter who's in office, this is my perspective. No matter who's in office or how much money they put in the bill, we're always last thought, right? So sports betting has become a problem because black folk who don't have no money already to pay the bills. Again, that's another means of them trying to play a quick fix lottery, and I don't approve of it, quite honestly. And we get a fair measure of calls. We probably get, Brother Donnie, probably 5 to 8 calls a week for gambling. It's far less than the drugs and alcohol, but that number has been increasing because it used to be 1 to 3 calls.
So you got your spouse who got to one day tell you, I didn't pay the mortgage for the past 6 months. Right. And you ain't even got to go to Horseshoe. Before there was a Horseshoe, there's the one-armed bandit in the club, in the lounge.
That's right.
Where the owners pay out money.
Right. That's right.
People spending their whole check up in the corner lounge. Mm-hmm. Joe's Pub, hitting that one-armed bandit. So much that the owner got to come back at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning when they finish.
Right.
I've seen it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Gambling is a monster, bro.
It is. And again, it's the one that people don't think about harming your life.
It does.
Or the lives of your loved ones. You know what I mean? It's a sneaky bandit, is what I call it. But it's just as disruptive because it's an addiction, right? And I know so the U.S. has the highest number of obese people in the entire world, right? Obesity, much of it is an addiction to food. So addiction by nature is obsession and compulsion for any person, place, or thing. So we're here to treat addiction. People call us a drug program. I never use that term when I describe a new life. We are a substance abuse and mental health program. Because the mental health is the addiction part. That's the mental health. It's an issue that's within us, right? And I'll speak for myself. I had some issues when I was young that I went through, didn't know how to deal with those issues. I found a means to cover the pain because I didn't know how to deal with those issues. And then what I was doing to cover the pain led me to an addiction, right? First it was alcohol, then it was a coke, so anyway, so that's the addictive nature. So once the drugs are gone, or we remove the gambling, we get the alcohol out the way, or the nicotine, right? Then we're able to deal with, okay, what is your issue? Did you have trauma that you didn't address? Are you bipolar? Are you schizophrenic? Let's deal with the issue. And then you're able to then, through the help of a therapist or psychiatrist, which we have on staff, you're able to deal with that issue and potentially, right, get some medication that will help you deal with your internal mental health, and you won't need to go to the coke, dope, alcohol, or nicotine, right? So it's a process, right? And
can I ask you a question?
Of course.
You threw in two terms that many of us think we know what they mean in terms of mental health.
Sure.
You mentioned bipolar and you mentioned schizophrenic. Now, bipolar, I remember from Pali that bi means two, so I guess you're going from one extreme to the other. And yes. Schizophrenia, is that multiple personalities? Like one in the morning you Julie and in the evening you Lisa, or how's that work?
So that's a personality disorder. That's something different. But that's also mental health. So schizophrenia really is, and I can't define it because I'm not the expert on that. It's really when you just have a large fear, you think someone's trying to kill you, or you just in distress all the time, right? When there's no real external danger. That's schizophrenia. And there are measures, levels of schizophrenia. So I'll give you an example, right? So when I was doing cocaine, when I was smoking cocaine.
Oh, you mean looking out the window?
I was looking out the windows, Donnie, on the 3rd, 4th floor, right? I could hear the police coming on when I was on the roof, and I would stuff pillows under the door because I didn't want nobody to see me under the door, Donnie. Because I didn't want nobody to see what I was. That was schizophrenia. That was.
Oh, as the kids say, geeking.
Yeah, that's the street term. So we can induce ourselves into schizophrenia based on our activity and what we're doing, right? When you take a mild and stuff like that, it takes your mind to a level of schizophrenia.
I know a dude called the police on himself.
Yeah. And they help them.
I hope he put the cocaine away.
Right. So that's what we try and do for the folks that have the opportunity to come to our program. But I do want to talk to you about something that I know you're familiar with. You and I touched on it. I'm very pleased that Brandon Scott's administration purchased these 2 hotels and was able to get it through the Board of Estimates. So it's a done deal.
What 2 hotels?
They purchased, I think it's on Gay and Falls Way, one of them, down the street from Baby Bookins. And I can't remember where the other one is, but they're both in the city, within the city limits.
You say down the street from Baby Bookins, but also in the vicinity of healthcare for the homeless.
Absolutely. Yep. Gay and Falls Way, right there. Yep. Right there by the overpass.
Which is a known location for homelessness.
That's right. So I applaud, because he's a big advocate of that, and that's one of the reasons why when he ran, I voted for him, and I appreciate that about him. Having said that, I have been for the last month, Donnie, a little over a month actually, when I heard that the deal went through the Board of Estimates, because that's when you know it's going to happen. I've been reaching out to, and I won't call it names, I've been reaching out to some city leaders to try and get them to answer some questions. I shouldn't say that. To get them to talk to me about what the infrastructure will look like that will be put in place for these hotels in terms of mental health. And here's why I say that. If you take a homeless person that is out on the street getting high, whatever he's getting high, he or she is getting high for. If you take that person off the street and put them in a comfortable hotel room and you don't do anything for them, Brother Donnie, they're going to be getting high in your brand new hotel, right? Because you haven't done anything to address their issue. And you and I talked about this when we had the award show, and thank you for that too, man. I had the good fortune of leasing a hotel down on St. Paul Street. Used to be Radio 1, as a matter of fact, 110 St. Paul Street. So we're leasing that under our nonprofit, and we have a mental health program in that building. So on site, Brother Donnie, we have a therapist, we have a medical doctor, because there's always the need for medications to be given, prescriptions written, some that you may not know, some that you haven't been taking for a very long time because you've been out there chasing. We want to put you in touch with those medications right away because it may help to get you back in some level of mental competence in a very short period of time. We've got a counselor on staff that can get you situated in terms of setting you up for therapy, making sure that your legal issues are taken care of, because a lot of folk, they violate probation because they're not going to see no probation officer. So we have a group area. We have group in the building, so you don't have to go out. We're not transporting you. We also have, this is unpopular, but not necessary because of what opioids and fentanyl does. We also have resources to connect you to a methadone or Suboxone clinic to keep you on either Suboxone or methadone to keep you from having to go through the withdrawals of fentanyl. So we have everything we need in that building, bro. It took me about 9 months to structure it that way. And we also, I'm sorry, this is very important. And we have armed security on site because we recognize some behaviors need to be taken care of, and we call local law enforcement. So we have a model, right, Brother Donnie? We have a model that we're sure works just because of what we've been doing. We've got a great relationship with Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, Brother Mark Mason. They do a great job. We've been able to get some of their victims of violent crimes, folks who have been shot, stabbed, or been witnesses thereof. We're housing some of them because they've got to come out of where they are to a safer location. We also have a relationship, Brother Donnie, with the University of Maryland Medical Systems, where they give job development, Brother Mike Franklin, job development, because a lot of folk who are on the street, they're missing some tools that they would need to get in order. They might need their GED. We have GED through I don't like to say BCCC, Baltimore City Community College. We have the relationship with the University of Maryland where they give you job training. If you go to job training and you're successful, at the end of it, after 8 weeks, they're going to give you a job, right? Because we want to put you in a better situation than we found you. So there's a model that the city will have to follow. It doesn't have to be my model. I'm not saying that. I'm not pretentious. I can tell you though, Brother Donnie, there's no other program in Baltimore right now that has a program in a hotel. They've got many programs in Baltimore. There's a lot of us. We have recovery houses. There's a lot of us. I have those also. But this was a unique situation, which is why we took advantage of it last year to get a whole bunch of spaces in one building, including putting all operations in that one space so you don't have to go anywhere. And so I think the city would benefit from coming to see our model, Brother Donnie, and just looking at it. And they don't have to follow what we're doing, but they've got to do something for mental health for these homeless people, because if they don't, I'm not going to name it. There's some media outlets that you're familiar with that don't care for Brandon and whatever he does. They will be on him for the failure of these hotels if it's not successful.
Well, the thing about that one media outlet, they don't like any black people. They pretend to like black people. They don't like black people at all. They put up one only to get ready for another one that they plan to assassinate. So sadly, and I've said this, and it's somewhat off target, that black people in Baltimore, a 63% black, 73% black and brown city, can get all of the mental health therapy in the world. But if our white counterparts don't also get that therapy, then we right back at square one.
Absolutely.
That's like a clean glass next to a dirty glass.
Right.
But if you don't clean up that dirty glass, the clean glass is gonna get dirty. What they say, they will get you dirty before you get them clean.
Absolutely, and that's been proven. So that's what we're hoping to. So I actually have, and I he's been very good. Dr. Bullock, City Councilman Bullock, and I wish him well in his reelection. I think he'll be reelected. He does a great job. He's accessible.
You keep throwing these political curveballs in here. You do know this is a political show.
I'm only speaking of my experiences with these people, though. You know what I mean? I ain't telling you nothing I read or heard. I'm my own experience. Dr. Bullock is one of those city council people who really care about people. I'm not minimizing anybody. I'm just telling you who I can get in contact with, and they call you back. Right? That's all I'm saying, brother Don.
Well, that's very important because we want people to know that you can call anybody who works for Baltimore City or 410-396-3100. If they get a city check, you can get them at that number, 396-3100. And while we at it, if you're trying to reach the state, call 410-841-3000. Right. So I commend you for knowing who our elected officials are, what they do, how to get in touch with them, and to get in touch with them. Right. Because we are often ones to point fingers and complain, like Baltimore City Public Schools. My children have children now. I'm a grandpa.
Right.
And so I'm not going out there and fighting for people who won't fight for themselves. Put differently, if your child is in Baltimore City Public Schools and you have an issue, you need to go to your PTA meeting, or you need to go to North Avenue and talk to Sonia Santalice.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Or take a group of parents. I know this. I believe this in my heart. If Baltimore City Public Schools were majority white, I think we see a different animal. I think there's a lack of accountability in a majority black school system. I think there's a lack of advocacy on behalf of parents in a majority black school system. And there's a certain level of fear and intimidation. Like, if you don't get out of my office, I'm going to put your child on Ritalin. Because black people do that to black people. And that's the real horrific tragedy of Baltimore City Public Schools. You got black people talking slick to you over there.
Yeah.
Black people talking slick to their own people who they supposed to be serving because they got a little funky check.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what I believe, Brother Don, is unfortunately we as black people, we are, even though we get positions, right? We get positions, but we're always, and we can name the positions. We're always under the supervision of a white counterpart, right? So we're always in a position where we can make a decision, but we've got to ask, is that decision okay? We can't necessarily implement.
I disagree. I think white people expect you to look out for your own. I think it's black people still stuck with that Willie Lynch mentality, who become mayor, who become governor, who become president, or what have you, and they get in there and act like they don't know they black all of a sudden. You ran on black.
Right.
Be black.
Right. Well,
what's your problem?
You can't hold that position, though. You know that. We can name examples. You can't hold that position because a lot of our
need more Marion Barries.
You don't want. Yeah, absolutely. That's why he got reelected after because he was a real people's people. So
that man did more for black people. He did more than many people even know. First, he went to DC as the jobs man.
Right.
He got thousands of people jobs.
That's right.
He put in the work. A lot of these cats want to run for office and they put in no work.
Right. Right. To the people that he or she is serving. So I'm getting a couple of text messages, Brother Donnie, from. So I think I'm fortunate enough and blessed enough to be a part of the We Our Us organization. And some of the fellas have reached out to me to tell me, don't forget to talk about this event that we have. So if you don't mind, We Are Us is having an event at the Empowerment Temple, May the 2nd, right? From 6 to 8. And the focus of this particular event is a 1,000 men youth rescue. 1,000 men youth rescue. It's a call to action. So what we're doing is we want to unite black men from all walks of life, right? To help rescue our youth from violence, crime, and limited opportunities. So we're going to have some resources on site at the Empowerment Temple that the youth can go and sign up for, attach themselves to in that moment, at that event, that night, to try and help them get a better foothold in this life. So we also have, this is a vendor call also. Yes, May the 2nd, 6 p.m., the Empowerment Temple, which is located at 4217 Primrose Avenue. Most of Baltimore knows where the Empowerment Temple is off of Wrightstown Road. I'm fairly certain of that. But yeah, 1,000 men youth rescue are called to action because we're very concerned about what's happening with the youth in our community. And, it's not about any lip services. It's not about the conversation. It's really about the demonstration. So we want the public to come out to Empowerment Temple on May the 2nd. And please come out, and we're going to have some youth services that are available. And you can bring your mail. You can bring, and this is it's male oriented, but we're not discounting any females also. So I want to make sure I brought that to the broadcast, because those guys will not let me live that down if I was on here and we didn't talk about that. So I want to make sure.
Who was that arrest you? Dr. Andre Bunley, Corey Barnes, Bishop Elliott?
I don't want to say no names, but they made sure, because I was on Bishop Hagler's radio station Saturday morning, and because of how that ran, I wasn't able to get this in. Bishop Hagler said, "Well, don't worry, Mr. McCormick, Brother McCormick. I'm gonna put it on, and I'll say it next. I'll mention it next segment next Saturday." But I felt bad because we had a meeting Thursday at the Empowerment Temple, and I made sure I told those guys we were going to be able to put that on. So anyway, I want to be. So I thank you for that, Brother Doni, because that's important. We need to rescue the youth in Baltimore City, man. It's you're the student man. The big thing now is we have a problem with our youth. They think the youth is out of control. I said, well, there's a reason why that situation exists.
Man, that thing go back to Claudine and the welfare, and Absolutely. James Earl Jones had to jump out the window because the welfare worker ain't want the black woman to have a black man. Absolutely. Be dependent totally on the system when there's more white people on food stamps than all of the black people combined. But that's the stereotype that's consistently thrown at us, including by people like Fox TV. They put up Armstrong Williams. Armstrong need to go sit down somewhere, man.
Yeah, so we and Dr. Bunley and the Mayor's Office of African Male Engagement has been very, and we don't talk about that. It's not in the news because it's not newsworthy. He and his office have done a great job at giving this. I don't even like saying the term. That's a media term. The squeegee boys, the young men who thought it necessary to go and earn money, at the red light. He's giving them alternatives, and he's doing a great job. The number of young men who are at those intersections, Brother Doni, has declined, right? Yes, there have been some violent situations. That number has drastically declined, right? But let me tell you
what's not declined. Sure. Fox TV talk about the squeegee kids on the corner.
Sure.
And our heartfelt sympathy to the white guy that got out of his car swinging a bat. Yes, and somebody put that tool in him, and there he's dead, and then the young man gone to jail.
Sure.
What is not talked about on Fox TV are the white addicts at these same corners, these white addicts that steal from the stores like Dollar General on Pennsylvania Avenue, who go through our community shooting dope in public, all in the back alley. I saw one white lady, she had 1 foot. I don't know if somebody snatched her wheelchair, but she was literally, just before this show came on, not today, but some months back, crawling on her belly down the street.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about the white addicts in the black community.
Right.
That has escalated, that has mushroomed since Freddie Gray. What happened with Freddie Gray? The consent decree, where the police stopped policing because they had been doing it far too to the right.
Yes, sir.
Messing with black people for no damn reason. But they stopped when Marilyn Mosby body slammed them cops for the first time in an unprecedented way,
Right.
to bring accountability to the criminal behavior of the Baltimore City Police Department, then the police stopped policing. Not all police, but most police.
Right.
Because they found, hey, if I go out here and get caught doing this gun trace task force stuff, I'm going to jail. And if you were a cop who spoke up about it, then you find yourself like Detective Suter.
Right.
Dead in the alley, and they say you committed suicide, even though you from DC and you wouldn't be caught dead in a Baltimore alley.
Right.
So we're familiar with this city,
right,
and the chicanery, the racism, the segregation. But at the end of the day, I bet you got white addicts in your program.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a majority black, but absolutely, I have some Caucasians in there. They make up the second largest percentage. And then we have, as I mentioned, we have a few Latinos, and then we have the African gentleman, the Asian gentleman. But yeah, it's no, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I too go to the Avenue Market probably two times a week, Donnie, at least 2 times a week, because I like going to Murray's. I like talking to them. The food is decent. I'm in a hurry, and I'm one of those, just like you. I'm not scared of our folk. I engage those young men. Hey, good morning to you, kings. I give them that. I understand, is a better way, but until they find that out, I ain't preaching to them enough like that. Hey, hey, good morning to you, OG. And in the alley across the street next to Legends, a couple weeks ago, a young lady went out, and I carry Narcan and everything I drive down. And I looked what was going on, and I heard somebody say as they was running out from the alley, because they knew the police was coming soon, she OD. So, I went to the car real quick, and I ran up the alley, and, and I was holding it up in my hand, because I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know nobody.
You're going up in the hole, son. You're going up in the hole, but you're not going to get shot.
Right.
You're not going to get shot.
I know. I got some Narcan, so nobody will be, be threatened, because who's this coming up here? And I was able to, and I'm not saying this to put myself, I was able to hit that young lady twice with Narcan and brought her back. And don't you know, man, when the ambulance came, and here's the part.
She didn't want to get in that ambulance.
Donnie, she did not want to get in the ambulance, man.
Because you messed up her high.
And look, the paramedics, they said they can't make her. They can't make her. Nobody can make her. She was an adult, and so she got up, brother, and literally, she brushed off the dirt and the leaves that was on her body. And let me tell you what she said, which saddened me. I sat in my car, and tears welled up in my eyes. She got up, brushed herself off, and she said,
"Where my tools at?"
She said, "Did that guy leave? I want to see if he got anything else. Did he leave?" She looked around. So then they walked off, man. Man, that was a surreal moment for me, man. She was very close to death.
And once a more.
All she could think about was going back again, man. And that's
the insanity.
Yeah. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's the insanity of addiction.
Yeah. So.
But for the grace of God. Yeah. There go us.
Absolutely, man. And there's no. Listen, when I saw that. When I saw and heard her and what she was doing, her focus is now that she is amongst us again and been blessed with another opportunity. I went to my truck. Of course, I'm getting emotional as I get older. I'm turning 60 a couple weeks ago. I told you, I sat there, man. My eyes watered, and I did say, "It's funny you even say that, bro." I said, "God, thank you, man." Because that would have been me 24 years ago, Donnie.
Fentanyl.
But for the grace of God, man.
A little speckle.
Yeah.
Is enough to wipe out a block.
Absolutely, man.
You can touch it with gloves on and die.
That's right. They can get through the skin. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Straight out of China. You were in the military. You were in Afghanistan. Look, straight out of Afghanistan, all the heroin in the world. 90%. Of the world's heroin. We think we over there fighting for liberty, democracy, fighting for the dope man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, America
We,
loves it.
the fentanyl, let me give you an interesting piece of history on China and the fentanyl.
Sure.
Hong Kong just went back under Chinese control after 150 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because Great Britain owned it for 150 years because of what? Opium.
Yeah.
The Opium Wars. They lost their financial center because of opium addiction.
Mm-hmm.
They got it back in 97.
I remember. They had a ceremony a week long on TV. I remember.
And the West was saying China gonna mess up Hong Kong, not realizing this is a 5,000-year-old civilization and they got more experience with money than 200-year-old America.
And you know, if you just think about that dynamic that you gave the example of, Donnie, another nation had control over the central hub of another nation for 150 years. It was on paper. We're going to release you on this date, 150 years down the road. And they have extracted all they could over those 150 years from those Asian people, man. It's sad, but it was real. And here's the part that confuses me as an adult male. It wasn't anything that any other nation, no king, no other president in any part of the world could do to stop that oppression. That's the
So
part.
How do you think China really cares about us?
Right.
We really need to know our history. Somebody said, Donnie, why you always talk about history? Those who fail to remember history are doomed to repeat it. Go ahead, take the final couple of minutes, man, and plug your program, brother. Then McCormick, Baltimore Polytechnic in the house, 82nd Airborne. You heard? And thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you, Don, brother Don. I appreciate your forum. I've heard much about it. I was blessed to get an award at the wonderful restaurant down there. So thank you for that, man. I applaud what you're doing. As a matter of fact, after we finish, I want to find out what I need to do in terms of sponsorship. But we have a wonderful program called New Life Recovery Center. We have several offices, but the office I'll give the address of is 102 St. Paul Street address. We are there. We have an office there. We have counselors on site. There's a phone number that I'd like to give you. The phone number is 240-253-3663. That's 240-253-3663. You can call or text that number day or night, and we will get you in treatment within 24 hours. So there's, I hate saying this, but it's true. There are very few programs, less than 5, in the city of Baltimore, in the masses of us, who you can call and get in treatment within 24 hours. I'll just say that because that's fact.
That's called treatment on demand.
That's right, brother Don. Treatment on demand. So we believe in getting a hold of you while you have the opportunity and while you have that small window of desire, because it's the desire that brings you here, right? So if you come to us, we're gonna do everything we can. You know, if you want an opioid, we're gonna get you, methadone, Suboxone if you need it. We have resources. We're gonna keep you moving in that effort. We're gonna try and keep you out of the withdrawal situation entirely. So that's the number. We're at 102 St. Paul Street. You can come down to the building between.
Check that information. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That's it. You can come down to the 102. Yeah, you did 102, but I was going to forgive you that. The 102 location between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. We're not open on the weekend, but you can call us and we will attend to your issue even on the weekend. We can get you in on the weekend. You just need to answer a few questions. We take Medicaid, we take Medicare, and we take the uninsured also. So that's who we are, and that's what we have. And I want to thank Donnie Glover for this opportunity to come and be with you guys. And I wish you all well.
Well, don't go just too fast, because I want to acknowledge this. There are a couple of people I want you to acknowledge. One is Andre Bunley. 2 is the person who was with you when you got the awards.
Okay, thank you. So Dr. Bunley is.
I don't want you to get in no trouble. They look like they were your support system. I'm trying to help you have a happy office.
I appreciate that. So those who Tish nominated me for the award. Dr. Bunley came. He's my mentor for many years, since the late 80s. As a matter of fact, our former mayor was there. If you recall, Doni, former Mayor Pugh was there. She's been doing a wonderful job. She does assist the program as well. She's doing wonderfully these days. My cousin, Dr. Martin, who has a PRP, psychiatric rehabilitation program, she was also in attendance. And Dr. Pearsall, who does a great job with us also, who is our outreach person, chief of development. I'm sorry, let me give her a proper title. She was also in attendance. And they are some great people. They're wonderful. They help us. They help New Life Recovery do what they need to do on a daily basis. So thank you for that.
You know, we need a recovery show. We have shows on this network from all over the country. One of my favorites is out in Oakland. They come on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. But we have regular programming, and we'd love to get a recovery program on here because, honestly, if I were the mayor, I'd be in cahoots with some type of station to have 24-hour streaming, considering how the rocks, the dopes, the coke, the liquor, the gambling, and all that other stuff has really messed us up. We need some 24/7 recovery.
You know, that's a great idea, Doni. And I was talking to a colleague of mine who works for another program, and we were talking about that. There are spots where people like me can get on, who have a relationship, well, not relationship, who get the opportunity, I should say, to be on a media outlet. But this thing is big. It's big and it's harmful. And I agree with you. We need more access. Recovery programs need to have the access consistently to be able to not just talk about what they're doing, but just talk about the need in general, because the need is great, man, in Baltimore.
One of the rules of the traditional 12-step programs is an avoidance of media. However,
that's true.
If this show can save a person's life, if this show can be a part of talking somebody off of the ledge, if this network can help counter the drug stories and shows and movies and videos and rappers who are constantly feeding our children poison, then I say more power to it.
That's absolutely. So that reference that you're making about not being a part of the media, that's specific to 12-step programs. So that's part of the 12-step. I'm sorry, one of the traditions in Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, which is the grandfather of all recovery programs, all 12-step programs. They have I can't quote it specifically, but you're right. There's a reference.
They avoid media. They don't want promotion because of newspaper, radio, television, etc. I got you.
That's specific to the 12-step program, though. It's not talking about entities recovery programs like myself or some others that are out here. That's what NA and AA, they don't promote through the media. So they're talking about their bodies, their entities specifically. But I can be on your show all day long, and it's okay. I just don't talk. I don't give names of my clients, things like that.
And I tell you who else needs this.
Sure.
The family and friends of recovering people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
One spouse is an addict.
Mm-hmm.
That person is going through it 24/7 too.
Absolutely.
And they need support.
Absolutely.
Still hanging in there with that person, but they need some tools, some skills, some support.
Absolutely. And that's a great example, because when people are going through active addiction, they touch all members of their family. They borrow money from right. They steal it from that family member because you harm the people closest to you. So you're absolutely right. When you're recovering, you're hoping that the family is recovering too. That's not always the case, quite honestly, because some people are unforgiving, Brother Doni. They see you getting clean, but you try to get clean 10 times before now. What makes this any different? So you had to show them. There's nothing that you can say. They're not gonna listen to you. You lied before. So you got to show them. And as a matter of fact, there's one of the steps, Brother Donnie, in the 12-step program is a redemptive step. It's the 8th and 9th step. It's about making a list of people that you harm, right? And then going back and making apologies, making financial restitution to people and entities. That's part of your recovery process, right?
When possible.
That's right. That's right. When possible. Because it's not at all possible. And everybody don't forgive you in your time frame. And you have to be okay with that. That's hard for some people. I said I'm sorry. So, you know what I mean? You had to be okay with that.
Give me my $20 back.
That's right. You can't attach the sorry without the financial restitution. So don't do it until you're ready. But this thing is powerful, man. But we have a solution. It may not, as Dr. Pearsall says quite often, it may not be the solution, but it is a solution. So we believe we have a good program, but it's always up to the individual because you can leave at any time. The doors don't lock from the outside. You can, anytime, you think.
We were over some minutes ago, but as the more I hear you, then one person keeps coming to my memory, and we gotta give him a shout out in heaven.
Who's that?
Israel.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that because his son called.
You doing what Israel did.
Go ahead.
No. Before you, there was Israel.
That's
Israel Kason, for those who may not know. We know who he is. Israel Kason. How you feeling, Israel? Just right.
Yeah. You remember that? Yeah. He was a good dude.
Giordano uses it all the time. I'm just right.
Yeah. He was a good dude. That was an awesome program.
We can.
Yeah, I remember many people came out of the program. They called that a tough love program because Israel had them wearing the signs. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but
he helped a lot of us over the years.
He did, absolutely. Ain't no question about it.
And if you helping somebody, more power to you.
Yeah.
And he was consistent.
Yeah, he was. I had great respect for Israel.
And I tell you, Martin O'Malley and a bunch of politicians called on his people when they needed a crowd.
They sure did.
Damn right they did.
Sure did.
Because Israel was coming with the fire. He coming 200 deep.
Yeah. Get the vans ready.
Get the vans ready.
Yeah, I had a great respect for Israel.
This city did not embrace and love him like it could have, like it should have. And that's why we're so proud of you, because you're able to take it to a higher level. And then your job is to pass the ball to the next one, 20, 30 years younger than you, who will start hitting them half court all nets.
Right. I appreciate that, man. That's a heck of a compliment. I take that as a compliment.
I can't do this forever. I got to find me a Rodney Burris, a Catalina Bird, a Hassan Giordano, a C.D. Witherspoon, a Bobby Marvin to pass the ball to.
Right.
What they say, to whom much is given,
much is required.
Yes, sir. Thank you for entertaining us today. Thank you for informing us and enlightening us. Any final thoughts?
Thank you so much for having me. Great. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Up to date, down tomorrow, do your day and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it, regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper. Good morning, world.